So they can't see my face.
He's already gonna see the back of your head.
Do we need to press play or is it already?
It's already playing.
Oh, it's already playing.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. Alright, so Zachary Beneda, a newly college grad, enlisted in the military believing that he would be able to have his student loan debts repaid. To his, chagrin, he realized that the military will not pay off his loans, and he will now have to pay $1,000 monthly, and he has accrued $90,000 in debt. According to the NFCS data showed that at the time, 54% of student loan debt holders did not try to figure out how much their future monthly payments would be before taking out their loans. College students are highly uneducated about their personal finances. I don't know about you, but I know when I went into college, I didn't even understand the gravity of taking out student loans. So I believe that we need to make changes in the university school systems by implementing personal finance literacy courses in order for students to be able to make better financial decisions as they are in college and exit out of college. So we all make choices about how to spend our money every day. We are swarmed with expenses. Some of us choose to budget our expenses and have detailed budgets, and some of us spend outside of our means. So most of us will accrue debt or have debt, and it's up to us to make better financial decisions with the money that we do have. So poor decision making with student loans can bring a lifetime of regret. As further evidence that student loans are not well thought out, a staggering 53% of people said that they would make a change if they could go back through the process of taking out student loans, according to CNBC. I'm assuming that you and others, including myself, would also do the same. So, like I said earlier, having a personal financial literacy course will benefit us as students here and thereafter. And what the government needs to do is mandate personal literacy courses in schools. It's already been mandated in 19 states across the country for high schoolers to have some type of introductory financial literacy course. Personal finance is not taught to college students, and borrowing an overwhelming amount to cover the cost of attending schools have had a grave effect on students. Alf Sarum, a San Francisco area-based director, has $223,000 in student loans. He says that a lot of baby boomers who blame millennials for taking out student loan debts are out of touch, meaning that they don't realize that everyone lives paycheck to paycheck, and it's not by choice. He says that he makes 6 figures working in retail fashion marketing, but has credit card debt and basically has to use that to supplement his daily payments and expenses. He works 50 hours a week and is actually considering getting a weekend job just so that way he can skate by. According to the Financial Literacy and Education Commission, a report says that Americans struggle with debt obligations, not to mention financial literacy basics. A mere 28% of students could not correctly answer questions on inflation, interest, and rate diversification. About half of college students in a 25,000 student survey answered 2 or fewer questions correctly on a recent 6-question quiz. So Stephanie Gray, she's a 29-year-old who had to default on her student loans, and she had taken out $36,000 in private student loans from, I think it's Nuvient, at a 14% interest rate. She pleaded with the company to default, but they did not listen to her, and so now she's living on food stamps and cannot pay her rent, and she defaulted since she had a ballooning debt. Leanne Livingston, she's a teacher here in Jacksonville, and her daughters are actually wanting to go to UNF in the future. She also took out about $20,000 in loans and is actually concerned about her children's future because she works in like an inner city school, and so a lot of inner city schools actually have like a plan where you can pay, like if you work for say 10 years, they can pay back whatever loans you have left. But when she actually got to that end of that period, they did not pay back her loans, so she isn't sure. She isn't sure if that would happen to her kids. So she just thinks that it's better to talk with like financial aid officers before going to college, and knowing like what her daughters will be set up for when they get to college. Matthew McCabe is 40 years old, and he longs to own a house, but he actually went to music school to get his PhD, but has like $86,000 in debt and has actually paid $25,000, but because he still has like almost $90,000 in debt, there's no way that he'll be able to own a home, especially since he lives in New York. Treasury Secretary Stephen Munchin said that higher education institutions offering financial literacy courses and reports help improve student financial outcomes. We are not only at risk of obtaining student loan debt and defaults. Today, more than 44 million Americans have outstanding student loan debt, which has become one of the biggest consumer debt categories. Student debt in the US now totals $15 trillion. Time magazine reports that this problem affects us as we age. We've seen how widespread this problem is, and it impacts students as they age. Let's move on to meaningful solutions like implementing personal financial literacy courses in general education requirements. So if we implement a personal financial literacy course, we can have like units that teach students about budgeting, that teach students about like financial apps like Mint or Acorns. We can also have like them do a project where they have to look at the Treasury yield curve and somehow devise like their own budget for maybe like a year and see like what happens to their accounts, and hopefully they can translate that into their own like savings account as they age. Also, they can learn about the psychology of money. So I've taken a course, it's called Behavioral Finance, and so basically a lot of people don't realize that their investment decisions are based on like how they behave and like what they basically the choices that they'll make on like how risk averse they are. So if we teach students about that earlier on, they can know like the right tactics to like invest in stocks or other investment decisions. So I guess another solution could be just we as students just learning about personal finance. So when you're going into college, when you apply for the FAFSA, there's like this little unit that's called like student borrowing, and so you could actually like just do that counseling for yourself and learn about like how to save, also how to budget your student loans, and also just seek out like financial aid counselors and ask them about like your debt, and also just asking like the financial aid office for a letter of debt, so it like tells you how much debt you have and how much debt you'll owe and like what your approximate payments will be like after you graduate. And if these solutions are implemented, college students will be better equipped to have a better financial future. They'll be able to own homes and own cars, and also possibly pay for their children's futures. Yeah, I think that's it.
Good job. It's still recording, right?
I hope
so.
When is it due?
Tonight.
That was really good.
I mean, yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still recording.